Welcome to another edition of the Sports Roundup. I am your host, Brandon Glogau, and today we are joined by 16-year right-handed pitcher Kyle Farnsworth. Kyle, how you doing today?
Doing well. How you guys been doing?
Doing good, doing good. So I'm just gonna jump right to it. You spent 4 seasons in the Chicago Cubs minor league organization before getting a call to the MLB in 1999. So as each year goes on in the minors, after spring training, and the manager of the big leagues tells you that you didn't make the team, you're going to start down low in the minors. What frustration kicks into that? Do they tell you what specifically to work on each year that you could work on so that way you could get the call sooner rather than later?
It all depends. There really wasn't much frustration. Everybody knows what level they are at, when they get to spring training and stuff like that. Obviously being a newly drafted kid, I obviously didn't expect myself to be starting at AA my first year, where as opposed to rookie league. It's just the way it is. Sometimes that happens for kids who were, a lot more talented and stuff like that. But, I knew myself as being a 47th round draft pick. I knew I had to work a lot harder and, do more than some, top round guys and stuff like that. But as far as the frustration, it never really bothered me. If I just, just stayed within myself and, did my job the best I could, that's the one thing I could do, and just let the coaches make the decisions they needed to make.
With that being said, as each year goes on, you say you're going to work on what you can do. But as you're progressing through the minors, getting closer, what's the atmosphere like in each clubhouse? Everyone's there for two different goals. One long-term in making the MLB at some point, and the other short-term in winning the championship and playing to the best of your ability while you're playing for whatever team you are for at the moment.
I think, everybody is obviously there for one reason, that's to get to, the show. Obviously everybody's working together, in their teams and their levels and stuff to, to do the best they can there. But, I believe everybody's goal, if they're playing minor league baseball or any professional sport, your goal should be to get to the top as quickly as possible. And, that's what everybody's goal is. And, the guy behind you in your same position is won that same goal. So you have to be on top of the game every day, day in, day out, because, someone can come take your place just like that. An injury could happen. You don't perform well, there's so many factors in there, but, to all things, everybody's goal is to get to the big leagues.
You were brought up as a starter before transitioning to a middle relief pitcher. With that being said, is there a different approach you have to each game, compared to, starters had their own routine? Relief pitcher, you really don't know what's going to happen each day. You got to play it situation by situation.
As far as getting ready, probably the only difference is, starter knew they're going to pitch every fifth day, as opposed to a reliever. You can pitch any day. So as far as a routine, workout wise and stuff like that, I had to change it up just a little bit, just because I don't want to, work out wise and before the game, I could do as a starter, but as a reliever, I really couldn't do it before the game. I usually do it. I switched it to after. Playing catch, you had to monitor how much you're throwing and stuff like that, because the day before you could have been up in the bullpen, and warmed up 2 or 3 times, and those ups and downs, they count. They wear on your arm, and if you do those few days in a row and you get in the game, over time that wears on you. So you have to manage that kind of stuff, activity, and use as well. So those are probably about the biggest main things. As starter was every fifth day, and as opposed to a middle reliever closer, it could be every day, every other day. You just never knew.
Right. In sports, your first trade is always the hardest. Is the business part. You spent a good amount of time in Chicago before getting traded to Detroit in 2005. How did that trade affect you? Were there any hard feelings? Some players have different reactions to it, whether it's getting traded or released or sent down. How did the first trade affect you when you went to Detroit?
I was upset. Just it was very frustrating. I was the Cubs drafted me, and I was with them for a very long time, and it definitely stung. I got upset. Got mad. I think I hung up on Jim Hendry, our general manager at the time. I called him back and apologized, and told him that sorry, because that's not the way I wanted to handle business. Especially with them. The great organization. He was a great GM. Love that guy. But yeah, definitely the first one was tough. But it's just, again, it's part of the game, part of the business. And that probably was the best thing that happened to me at that time, was to be traded from the Cubs to the Tigers.
After the 2005 season, you then went on to sign a contract with the Yankees. And the Yankees, they expect greatness between the fans and within their organization. Everything you do is under the microscope, playing in one of the biggest markets in all of sports. So first off, what was that moment like to sign with one of the greatest franchises in all sports? And the second part of that question, was that probably the most high pressured seasons of your career?
No, it was exciting to definitely sign the contract with them. I had quite a few teams, who were offering me contracts as well, but to be able to play for that organization and great, players who've been there before and the guys who were there at that time, is a great experience. And, something that, that can never be taken from me for the organizations that I played for and for how long I have. So, it was definitely exciting, a lot of fun. As far as pressure, yes, they, the organization, the fans, the city, they expect, everybody go out there and be great all the time. That's any organization and every fan base that should be like that. So as far as pressure wise, I didn't think it was that much more pressure. Sometimes I may have put a little bit more pressure on myself to do that. Maybe that's, sometimes how we fail. We try to do too much as opposed to just to stay within ourselves and do what got us there in the first place, is just to stay within yourself and just be you instead of trying to do too much.
With that also being said, you also got the opportunity to play with the crosstown rivals in the New York Mets. What was there a different type of atmosphere feeling like in the Mets clubhouse? And did you have who did you like better? Not to put you on the spot.
They were both a lot of great guys on each team. So I think, the Mets were, I don't know, I'm not going to say it's more laid back, but it was not as probably not as much pressure. I love both sides. Yankees, there are a lot of great guys there and great players. Obviously the need and the expectations to perform, win every night is there, as well was with the Mets. So, like I said, when you're at the professional level, it's every team expects you to win and go out there and perform the top of your ability.
So now, I want to just go back again with the career moves and everything like that. You talked about the first trade was very difficult. You're someone that's bounced around via trade, unfortunately getting sent down, released a few times. So with all that being said, was there anyone that you looked up to that helped you during those tough times? Because whether you're living with someone in the family and having to move from state to state, it can be challenging for a player, family and everything like that. So how did you handle those downtimes, and who did you look up to during those times?
Probably just my family, my parents for sure. It's definitely things that were out of my control. But again, it was part of the game. The trades, the getting sent down, the releases. After a while, if you play the game long enough, all those things are going to happen to you, and you figure out how to deal with them, and you find out that you realize it is a business, and you can't take it personal as much as sometimes we do. But it's a game, it's business, and that's just the way it has to be. And the closer you keep your family, it definitely helps to have them in your corner.
For sure. I'm just going to ask one more question before we wrap it up. You see a lot of former players serving as managers, pitching coaches, bullpen coaches, or even broadcasters. Have you ever considered going back to the show, serving as any one of those types of coaches?
I've thought about it. I've done a lot of coaching for high school for my son's high school team, a travel ball, and stuff like that. I do a lot of one-on-one training as well for kids and stuff. So, the thought it has crossed my mind, and it may be something I may do in the future. I know it's a lot more computerized these days, and they're getting away from guys who actually know the game as opposed to the computers knowing the game, which is kind of hard for me to swallow. There's nothing wrong with information and all the scouting reports and stuff like that we're guys are able to have right now. But in my opinion, you can't just go off what the computer says. There's a reason why guys play the game for as long as they did without that information, and it's just the knowledge of the game, just the old school tactics, just the feel of what is going on, as opposed to sticking with, oh, the computer says you got to do this, so we got to do this no matter what. So you can't take into consideration the weather, how the guys feel on that day and stuff like that. But I've definitely thought about going back and maybe coaching in the minor leagues with the younger kids and stuff like that, and trying to help them there.
Kyle, thank you for your time. This has been another edition of the Sports Roundup. Thank you for your time, Kyle. Appreciate it.
All right, you're very welcome.